All right. Well, today we're going to be playing a little game that's rated E for everyone called Fez. It's called Xbox Live Arcade by Microsoft Studios, publisher, and Polytron.
Oh.
Trapdoor Entertainment. God, how many people made this game? Trixel Engine.
It's like in movies when there's like 20 different companies that contribute and they have to show you their whole logo for the entire...
Fez! There we go. And our special guest for today is Mr. Benjamin King.
Hi, Burnie. How are you?
I'm doing good, Ben. I'm doing good. So we're going to play Fez. The reason why I thought it would be a good idea to play Fez, you can hit A to start. Uh-oh. Watch out. Graphics incoming. I thought it'd be a good idea to play Fez. You can go to Cloud Saves. I got it. Look at that. You're unlocking gamer pictures for me.
Oh, wow. This is already paying for itself.
It's just a room full of trophies being unlocked as we speak. I thought it'd be a good idea for us to play Fez, and you can just go ahead and start a new one. Because this week, the developer for Fez, or the primary designer of the game, is a gentleman by the name of Phil Fish. And this week, he killed development of his game, Fez 2, because he was dealing with an unbelievable amount of online abuse, according to him. There was some specific incidences, but he even said his decision to quit developing Fez 2 was because of not one individual incident, but a long battle online that he eventually just gave up and decided to let all the haters win, essentially. And so, Ben, you've been online most of your life, would you say?
For at least a quarter of it.
At least a quarter
Hang
of
on,
your
how
life.
old am I?
How old are you?
No, at least half of it.
So you're...
I'm 21.
Ben is 21 years old, and I don't know if you can tell by his accent, but he is from China.
Yes.
Or the UK, which is...
I thought I was trying to jump on their heads to kill them, but that would not...
They're children. Don't jump on their heads.
I'm sorry. Okay, so... Yeah, I'm from England.
And we have been working together since you were 15?
Yes.
We'll get into that in a second. But you've been online for...
Where is the No,
don't worry about it. Go back. Walk up to the mailbox.
What is a mailbox?
Game tells you what to do.
Where is it?
I think it's that red thing, because that's where the tube, he sent the thing down in
Oh,
there.
I see.
Press X to read mail.
Here we go.
See, mail is this thing that we used to get back in the day. It was like a physical copy.
See, now this looks like a real faff. You would have a physical document to convey words. What if you lose it, or you get like a drink stain on it?
Everything's based in something in the old world, Ben. You know, back in the day, we used to have paper and pen, and we would write to each one another. We'd send it through the postal service, and that's what an email looks like. It looks like an electronic version of that mail.
That's cool.
See, you're learning something. This is the fundamentals of communication.
I'm communicating with little people that I don't know what they're doing.
But what was the first, like, so if you've been online half your life, so you started about 11 years ago. And that would have been, God, that would have been the 2000s. Oh, this is gonna get depressing
no, I remember
fast.
that. I remember the 2000s.
This is gonna get depressing fast. So, in 2002, approximately, about the time that I was starting an online company, that's when you were getting online, and you were 11 years old.
Yeah.
What was your first experience online?
My first experience with the internet, I don't really know. I mean, I remember. Like, the first kind of website I would go to religiously, like, on a regular basis, would be HBO, which is halo.bungie.org.
Oh, okay. You know, HBO in the U.S. is also a very popular paid television channel.
I don't know.
That's why Game of Thrones is on here. So just clarifying for the audience.
Not the Game of Thrones people. But, yeah, and so I would go on that all the time, and... there was some sort of forum, and I just cannot for the life of me remember what it was. I remember Pirates of the Caribbean just came out. That was back in the day.
HBO had a message style, like a www board style of messages.
Yeah, that was really retro.
Yep.
And that was dying out by the time I got there.
And HBO is kind of an old school website, so.
Yeah. By the way, if it looks like I'm doing terribly at this, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm trying to multitask. I'm trying to think and play video games.
You're playing Gomez. He's this character here, and he lives
in
a 2D sprite world, but then you will discover, as you gain certain powers, that the 2D world is actually a 3D world.
Oh, my goodness.
But you can only access 2 dimensions of the 3D world at a time.
Yeah, it does something. Okay.
It'll make sense.
We shall see. We've got time.
What did the letter tell you to do?
I've forgotten. I don't remember.
You probably come see this guy, I bet.
Hey, what's up?
Today is special day.
Interesting.
Adventure is ready.
It's Gomez time. Anytime. Oh, there we go. Something's
I
happening.
think you're about to get a
Is this
special
Geometry
item.
Wars?
No,
Oh.
I think you're about to get a very special item. You know, these Xbox Live Arcade games, they really kind of get made or broken by the art direction of the game. You know, like some of the biggest games on Xbox Live Arcade are fairly simple games with just amazing art direction. Castle Crashers is probably one of the biggest successes.
Yeah.
And look at, I mean, Minecraft is that way too. It's a simple game mechanic with a really cool art style. I should say on the surface it's a pretty simple game mechanic, but obviously if anyone's played any Minecraft, it gets pretty in depth very quickly. What is that? Is that an alphabet?
Is that the brain?
Are we going to learn stuff to play this game?
There's codes and
Oh,
stuff.
it's talking to you.
Oh.
The cube said
So I'm talking to the universe right now.
other cubes.
And now I'm being teleported up. And I'm being abducted by aliens.
No, you're fine. You're being
So this is when the probing section starts. No,
Oh, look at this. Now we're seeing 3 dimensions.
interesting. Oh. This is
You're
like-
being
this is like-
infused with
I think I had
dimensional
a
power.
I think I had an acid trip like this once.
Oh, stop. You're too young to talk like that. But I do have, I don't even want to say this out loud, but I do have parental feelings, having met you at such a goddamn young age.
Yeah.
I think at when I met you and you were 15, I think I was in my mid-30s at that point. Look at this. You're getting your fez.
Oh, the fez is in the clothing accessory. I getcha.
Yeah, it's like the red hat.
Gotcha.
I don't know, what
We
culture
have,
had fezzes?
I don't know, but I do know that at university we have a fez-wearing society where members can go, and I still to this
Does it
day
do
have
that?
not figured out what it does. I don't know. Maybe they play Fez, the video game. I don't know. Okay, change your perspective.
Oh!
Oh wow.
So you're using the triggers to do that?
Oh, I'm
Oh.
the bumpers I'm hitting.
That's cool. Look how it breaks the screen, too.
Oh dear. Oh yeah.
Little sprites and stuff. That goes back to like old arcade-style graphics.
Yeah.
It's like a kill screen.
I went to an Austin arcade the other week, and all these I played the Simpsons video game from like 1995, and it was like, wow, this is like I wasn't even talking yet.
Wow, look at this. A little reboot.
Oh wow. That's cool.
That is cool. I like that. This game was in development for 5 years. This game was in development from 2007 until it came out in 2012. And in fact, it just came out this year on PC. So the PC version of it was in development technically for 6 years, which is a little less than 1/3 of your life.
Okay, yeah, we've established that. Okay.
I mean, it's crazy amount of time that some of these things span for a young man such as yourself.
Yes.
So your first experience on going on HBO, you are going on to an anonymous internet forum,
Yeah.
and you can see here you can change perspective to go around the tower here.
Wow.
What was that experience like? Because I didn't have my first internet experiences at that young of an age. Did you feel like, and your perspective might be different today, but did you feel like I can enter into the conversation with this? Did you have the feeling that everybody else on that forum was an adult?
Yeah, I would say I had the feeling that they were all adults. I've just remembered an even earlier one. I would have been about 7 or 8 when this happened. That chat rooms were a thing, and so I went on a chat room, and this was like,
I can tell you don't like reading, by the way.
Breaking technology. Nah, screw it. Breaking technology, and I was just talking to someone, having a conversation, and I said, they said, where do you live? And I gave the street name.
There we go.
That I lived on, and I was like, where is that? I was like, well, in Nottingham, and then I was like, where are you from? And they said America, and I was like, what? This is crazy. Oh, hello.
So it was both your first online experience and your first.
Yeah, so
experience
that
with
was like
America.
my eyes opening to, there's a whole big world out there.
Just find 8 of these cubes, by the way.
Okay.
We know you can climb on the greeny vine things.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Are you much of a video game player?
Not anymore. I was, in my youth. Well,
In your youth. That's just shut the fuck up about that.
Here we go. Okay.
So when you gave away your address and your actual location,
Yes.
did you get in any trouble for this?
No. No one was monitoring me.
It was more just you were amazed you were communicating
Yeah.
with somebody across an ocean.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I don't know where to go.
Yeah. It's and so from there you got involved. Like, how did you find your way to the Rooster Teeth forums?
I remember when I first watched Red vs. Blue, it was on. I was using Netscape Navigator.
Netscape Navigator.
And I would go to the white blank website that had links to these DivX files, etc.
Right.
And I remember because this was in the time of dial-up, so we didn't have broadband. So if I wanted to, as a sponsor, watch an episode in high quality. I one time did it without asking my parents, and they got really angry because it would cost a lot of money.
Like how much would it cost for an episode? Any idea?
I don't know, but it would take several hours to finish. And so by the time they realized, I said, "Oh, sorry, I'll cancel it." They said, "Well, don't cancel it because we've already, might as well see it to the end. Might as well already pay for it." Oh, that was a terrible mistake.
Wow, Oh no, he didn't die.
There we go.
So apparently, death is just no big deal. Just do over.
I mean,
thing.
I want to make you feel better.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there's one there. All right,
so you gotta get up here and then rotate.
Oh, rotate. I can do that.
Oh wait, bring it back.
Okay.
So rotate back the other way, and go up the way you did before. One more time. There you go. Oh no, I gave you bad advice.
I mean, that might work.
And then now you can probably rotate. Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting it.
Wait, keep. There you go.
Look at this shit. All right.
Another cube. Is a chicken. If you want to say hello to the chicken. Oh, he's gone.
Okay. Oh, come back.
So, did your parents have any idea what you were doing? Because they obviously predated the internet, and here they had a son who was on the internet like right away. You got a treasure chest. Hit X to open the treasure chest. You got this. Treasure chests are pretty much universally good in video games. It's very rare that you run into a bad treasure chest.
That sounds like a good video game concept where all the good things are bad things and the bad things are good things. We should make that game.
Maybe if you rotate the world enough, you'll enter.
Like
a bad
the princess
world.
is the villain,
and she's like she throws treasure chests at you.
They would really hurt you if they hit you in the head.
Yeah, that would turn things on its ear. There's a game that I played.
We're not on Xbox Live anymore.
I think we're okay.
Okay.
I bought this thing on this console, so I think we're okay. We're in the office recording this, and our office internet is not that great.
No,
we get disconnected frequently.
Where am I going?
But did your parents have any concept of like what you were doing or what you were spending all your time doing? It's really sad.
No.
I like that his hat stays on. That's nice.
Yeah, it's like glued on.
Your fez dies with you.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to go up anymore. I think you can travel down and try to find one.
Oh, I'm just not.
I think you have 4 cubes so far. You're trying to find 4 more. So just look for those golden cubes.
Oh,
Good
wow.
Lord.
This is not my day.
Can you hit B to drop?
What was his name?
Gomez.
I like Graham better.
Graham? Graham.
Not Graham, Graham.
Graham?
Yeah.
Graham. That's what
I thought it was.
Graham.
Yeah.
Okay. Graham the fez-wearing marshmallow.
Yeah, why not?
Is on an adventure now. Oh, look, you got stuff figured out. But
yeah,
did they have any concept of what you're doing? I mean,
no.
Foreign world to them?
No. It just I don't even know what they must have been thinking. I'm like, well, this is strange.
And so I think he's trying to give you some clues here. So then you're finding your way to the original white background red versus blue site. And that was the site, by the way, I'm proud to say was designed by Gus. Nice. He was our tech guy, which back in those days meant he was the only guy who programmed the website and programmed the functionality for like serving the videos and getting the sponsors in before anybody else. I think you want to just keep going down. Oh wait, you got to rotate too. That's right. So
I didn't see any.
Yeah, I don't see any either. I think you're just too high. I think you want to go down. And so you showed up there. Had you had any web development experience at that point in time?
At that point, no, I'm going to say.
Rotate here. See if you can find a golden cube somewhere else. Well, there's a lot of stuff there. Can you get down even further? Or is it the very, very bottom? That looks pretty... I see roots. That would indicate we're at the very, very bottom.
Yeah. So
try that door by the dude with the mustache. Or even the door right there.
Oh, does that mean I've already been in here if I've got this thing happening?
I don't know.
Might as well just go inside and see what's going on.
If we'd read some of our dialogues, we might know
that.
Yeah,
I mean...
That's your room.
Life's too short.
Life's too short to read the manual. And what do you... First of all, just so people understand, like, what do you do at Rooster Teeth? Like, what is your job at Rooster Teeth?
I am a web designer and developer, so I create... basically, if you haven't even been to it, if you're watching this on like YouTube, roosterteeth.com is our like social networking community platform where people who are fans of Rooster Teeth come together and, talk about the show and engage and stuff like that and make friends. So my job is making social networking applications to bring fans together.
And you designed some of the major features on the roosterteeth.com website. You designed our mobile app, which we have discontinued, but we're going to be bringing back at some point.
Yep.
That's the plan, at least.
Yeah, I found out I'm not very good at mobile apps, so I'm not doing that again.
Well, I mean, you like a lot of people in the early days of Rooster Teeth, and what is the quote-unquote early days of Rooster Teeth seems to be changing on an ongoing basis. But you know, you wore a lot of different hats. Like you were a mobile developer.
Yeah.
At one point, you were in charge of all of our social media as well.
Yeah, I created the social media division here. Because
Yeah.
I remember that discussion. I was saying, yeah, this Facebook thing is going to be really important. And Gus was like, no, it's fucking stupid. So I was like, okay, I'll just do it then.
That's like, I think over
Right,
the
now I'm
years,
literally
we've had
stuck.
that conversation with you a lot of different times where it's like, yeah, let's
I'm
not waste our
literally-
time with this.
I'm literally stuck. I don't know where to go.
No, keep rotating. You got a box you can jump on right
Oh,
there. Oop. Then you moved away from it. Jump on top of that little box right there. Try pushing that box. Can you push it? Because it seems like there's a door behind it.
I don't think it doesn't. No, it doesn't
No.
seem like I can push it. Oh,
Okay.
wrong button.
That was a button. But
There we go, now I'm up again.
You can find your way up. Talk to her. Maybe she has something.
Hey, babe.
How the hell did she rotate to a different?
You're back. Okay,
All right.
thanks for
Well,
that.
she was conversationalist. What about that door right there?
Bitch.
Oh, tell her, look, be nice. Come on. We're gonna be.
I've been gone for a long time, and that's all she has to say to me. Not like, she's not even going to give me an update on her life and all. A bit more. God.
Maybe she expects you to follow her on Facebook so you can get her updates. She goes, you know what I've been up to? I've seen you log in. I'm just going to tell you you've been gone a long time. I'm just going to fill you in on what's going on with your life. Keep rotating. This is, by what I want to point out, this is the introductory level.
Yeah, no, you can definitely see that.
I'm going to take it over from you.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to drive here a little bit. Okay, so let's figure out. I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to cheat here and I'm going to find out what our controls are.
Interesting.
Inventory.
Looking at the manual is cheating.
Talk, jump. Well, apparently, I have I have time in my life to do this. You don't have time. I have time.
No.
All right, so let's find out where we're going here. And I can rotate the world like this.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And we've already been in here. That's nothing, but you know what? I'm going to go in there anyway. So, talk a little bit about like the first time that we reached out to you and you first started talking to people at Rooster Teeth, because my memory of it went something like this. You were a big jerk on the forums and told us our website was shit. And then we were like, hey, kid, if you think you do a better job, why don't you try something? And then you did. Do you remember what that was? Or
Sounds accurate. I can tell you the things that I mean, one of the first things that I ever did was I redesigned the store, which it seems to be a constant in my life because I'm doing it again now.
Oh, you really?
But I redesigned the online store and I sent it to Matt to kind of match the rest of the websites, and they were like, yeah, this is great. And also, you had this idea for a website called Griffball, and I ended up making a website for Griffball. I don't really remember the order of things that happened. Like, for the longest time, wow, you really failed there.
I just making sure.
I give it over to Burnie, and then
I
we
would call
fall
this
out
being
of the world.
thorough in my
Okay.
investigation of the world.
I see.
I break a few Gomez's occasionally.
Graham's.
Grahams.
But, it's not Graham.
Graham.
But, yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't really remember the order in which things happened, but for the longest time, I had no idea how you guys even found me. Like, I remember we were at, like, Chipotle, and I asked, so yeah,
Your favorite
how
restaurant.
did you come across me? And you were like, I don't know. I can't even remember how I got here. It's great.
Well, back then, it was okay to talk about your username back then and all that?
If you can remember them.
Your username back then was Keys.
Yes.
And
That's how young I was. I named myself after my favorite fictional character.
Your favorite Halo character, I want to
Yeah.
point out.
That was probably 12 or 13.
And, and so I remember that you were pointedly showing us places on the website that you thought were dismal failures. And
Right.
Oh, I got here. I got a map. A big glowy map.
Ooh.
Look at the progress I'm making, Ben.
Yeah.
I found a treasure map. Well, I want to find some goddamn golden cubes. How about that?
Maybe the treasure map is to the golden... Oh, no, we've already got treasure chests.
Yeah, so rotating this world is a big part of it. All right. And then it was really, I think it was Matt, wasn't it, that said,
Yeah.
hey, why don't you try to work on something for us? Do you remember what the very first thing you made?
I did a few little things. Like, I wanted to fix a problem where you had, like, boxes you could collapse on the website, and I made it so it remembered when you collapsed them.
Right, because you refresh the page, it just
Yeah.
uncollapsed everything.
I did, like, a few little things that I don't think ever actually ended up getting used. But I just did those, and then... yeah, it was kind of just a case of... I mean, I don't really know where my programming came from, because I had no kind of interest in programming, really. It was never a thing on my radar. And I would use... Like, there was some PHP BB forum, and I would, like, look into how that was made, and, like, how to change it around, how to theme it, you know, how to change the functionality a little bit. And so from there, I kind of started picking up more PHP things. Actually, I just remembered something I made. I made these little banners that would generate like user banners for Rooster Teeth. And so because you guys were using these signature banners back in the day, it was like a big theme for you guys.
Like, so on an individual person, when they signed, they would have a banner.
Yeah, for their like posts. And so I made like little dynamic ones that could bring in like your game tag stuff and your staff awards and things like that. And that was a case of doing things where like I just made them, host them on my own server, and then anyone in the community could use them. And the staff liked them, so that turned out well. And then I came to visit America one year because I was in New York, and then we came over to Texas to say hello. And I think it was literally just Matt in the office, but I came to the office and
which office was that?
That was Buda.
Got it. Look at that cube, getting close. I think I got 3 to go now. And that was Buda, so that would have been before season 5 of Red vs. Blue, because that's when we moved out of that office.
Yeah, definitely. So a long time, and then it was like really shortly after that where I started working full time, kind of. And I can tell you that my first day at Rooster Teeth full time was my 16th birthday.
Your 16th birthday. That's then, and you started with us as a contract employee, right?
Yeah.
And then, in fact, you've been contract pretty much the entire time here because you're not based in the U.S. You're based in the U.K.
Yeah.
And Rooster Teeth, that's more of a legal distinction because Rooster Teeth is not an entity in the UK.
Yeah, so I don't get all your fancy healthcare because I already get it.
Yeah, it's a basic human right in your country. Okay, brag about it, why don't you? But yeah, it's a tough thing too because Gavin has a visa to be over here, and that took a long time to get that visa.
Yeah.
And one of the big qualifications of it is work experience, which is basically tied into age, or university degree of some kind. And so, the problem we always ran into you with, like when we talked about a visa, was your age basically disqualified you from doing that. And also, your job was always harder to prove that we couldn't hire somebody in the U.S. to do it. Because
let's be honest, you could have.
But on paper, it looks like that. But it's another thing too, where it's like you were obviously a good fit because you grew up on the forums and spent time there. Very few people understood it the way that you did.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that kind of logically went into when I started doing social media, is that I knew how the community worked and how being someone in ground zero of that worked.
How did you not find these cubes? I'm walking indoors and finding cubes at this point. That's okay.
It's too difficult trying to talk and play games.
Oh, I see.
At the same time.
And so, and then you've worked on a lot of different things over the years, and
loads of things, yeah.
And you were in the office at various times. I remember that you were specifically in the office when I was working on Reconstruction.
Yeah.
You were there. That's when we first were in the Congress office. So, usually in the summers or something like that, when you're not in school or in university, you make your way over here. And that's what you're over here doing this time, right?
Yeah.
And what are you working on now?
Working on it at Rooster Teeth?
Yeah.
I'm doing things. I'm updating our store. That's going to come out. I've got a countdown clock on my desk to point to that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Does anyone else know that date?
Yeah, no. We got dates. We organize.
One more cube.
We coordinate.
Oh,
that's a shame.
It's okay. That happens.
And I'm also working on something really cool that I can't talk about.
Okay.
Which is, I always wanted to say
that. You have a secret project that'll be really
awesome. A super
awesome.
secret project. But I can say that it's the most exciting thing I've ever worked on.
Really?
In 7 years of web development, it's the most exciting thing. So
it's a web development project.
Right.
Because in addition to doing web development, you also do short films yourself.
Yeah, I do. Less so now.
Get ready. This is going to be exciting.
Oh, something's going to happen. Oh, he's just very happy.
He's so excited. What do you mean just happy? Happiness is
important.
important.
He died several times to get it, so you would be happy, wouldn't you?
Somebody got an achievement. Now I got to finish the rest of this damn game.
What is that a photo of? Is that like a duck or something? I don't know.
I'm going to check it. Oh, cube get. I got a cube.
Cube get.
What, this?
That is a really weird... Is that his nose in the middle or his mouth?
I don't know. That's a good question.
What is happening with his body and his face? Strange.
I'm going to assume that's his eyes are closed and he has dimples, but I know that's probably not right. He's wearing a headband. Because if you look at everyone else, their eyes are that low.
Right.
And so he's wearing like a headband like
this. Yes, he is. There you go.
Maybe he's a doctor.
Makes
it's one of those mirror things that goes on.
Mm.
You know about that with your free healthcare.
Of course.
All right.
Best in the world.
God darn it. So what was it like your first experience when you first started working with us? Like what do you remember like your first interaction? Like, were you excited to come to work for Rooster Teeth? Or was this like, to you being so young, was this like just something that happens?
Yeah, it was kind of really something that happens. I mean, I remember when I would have conference calls and then I would hear your voice for the first time and I would get a bit starstruck because that's church,
Okay.
but that went away. But
Yeah,
I mean, I think
yeah.
it.
I think that's where I came on the scene once that went away.
Yeah, I think that it. I mean, being in England obviously helped with that. Having that kind of distance helped me too, because I was like, well, I'm gonna have to start being professional, so I need to learn how to do that because I had no idea what that was, no idea what an email CC was, and now look at me, I've grown
Yeah,
so
now
much.
you're CCing left and right.
I know. I'm. Yeah. So yeah, but it was just one of those weird. I mean, I didn't really think much of it. I never it was never a plan of mine. It was never a goal really. I just sort of staggered and stumbled my way into it. But
And this was in a point in time where not many people were hired.
No, I was
outside the core group.
I was like, I'm gonna say I was about number 8.
Number 8.
Because I was before Jack, and I swear he said he was 9 or something the other day.
Yeah, some people keep a better count of that than
I've got
others.
no idea. I don't remember. Very much,
we had one time we took a photo with the entire company, and somebody had the bright idea of let's line up in order that we were hired.
Oh God.
And that I didn't realize.
No one's got time for that.
I didn't realize this, but that was a big deal to some people and not to other people. And I was one of the people that it wasn't a big deal to, but it should have been, I guess. And people got really upset by that.
Oh.
So because some people started like you would have been in that conversation of like, well, when did Ben start? Because he started on contract. And all
Right.
this. It's
yeah.
like, oh my God, what a. It's like this. It's you want to tell people it doesn't matter, but what matters to people is what matters.
Yes.
So. And then you worked on the site. You worked on the rollout of pretty much every major update to the website since then.
Yeah.
And, when we talk about like Fez here and we talk about negativity and dealing with things online, it seems like from a content perspective, games have quite a bit of negativity associated with them.
Yeah.
Because for whatever reason, whenever a game comes out or whenever a game is changed, you get like these horrible comments about how the people who made the game should die. They've ruined everything. You've destroyed my life, et cetera, et cetera. But another place where maybe not to the extreme on an individual basis, but on like a mass basis, changing a website is always something that causes a major negative uproar.
Right.
And I don't think our site has been immune to that problem.
No. I mean, it's difficult. When I said that, like, the way that I view my job, I mean, 90% of the things I work on is social networking. And that's a deeply personal thing. People use our website and they make friends. Not only do they make friends, but they meet the loves of their lives. They get married, they have children, So it's something that is really personal to people. So obviously, you've got a big responsibility there on getting that right. But people I mean, sometimes when you want to improve things, that involves things that are a little bit jarring to begin with. You've got to try to retrain people and kind of get people to change the way they think about something.
It's a good way to look at it because there's a certain efficiency that comes with something just being familiar.
Yeah.
And so even if you design something that is technically better and more efficient, at first it doesn't seem that way just because everyone is not used to seeing it.
Yeah.
I totally am just going to look up on YouTube. I have no fucking clue what we're supposed to do at this point.
Well, he's gone to sleep, so we can just leave him. Leave him be.
That's a commentary on what we're doing here. Yeah, I don't know. We've gotten all the cubes, and I don't know what to do with the cube. Do I use the cube?
Cube shards. So it seems like there's a lot of shards you got to get.
Jesus.
This is not a short game.
It's gonna be a long game. And so can you talk a little bit about that? Like, what's some of the negativity that you've dealt with, and how do you deal with that at a young age? With all of a sudden people coming at you and
yeah. I think that, I mean, it'd be difficult for anyone at any age, but for me especially, having started so young, what I decided from the very outset was that I decided at the very outset that I was gonna, not let it overtake my life. I'm gonna have a little bit of a distance from it, and so, negative comments on the internet to me weren't too bad because, I didn't really put too much stock in them. I didn't, care too much about them. But I mean, when you're on the internet and you're doing stuff at the scale that we are, I mean, we weren't back then, but
1.5 million registered users, to put it in perspective, is what we have.
Our site has that, and I think, the 17th most viewed YouTube channel in the world. Billions of views, and...
Oh, God, no. Now weekly, we're number 8.
Oh, God.
Yep.
Wow.
And
So-
that's just the Rooster Teeth channel. It doesn't include the Let's Play channels or game fails or RT shows or anything like that. That's just Rooster Teeth
Yeah.
on YouTube.
So, I mean, being, you know, I wanted to get involved in some Rooster Teeth things, you know, that like people would. I remember when we were doing RT Short Season 1, you know, I would love being involved in those, because those are the days when the entire company would shut down and we'd all just make a short together for the day.
Right.
And it was really kind of a bonding experience. I had a lot of fun doing those. And, you know, I had a few lines, you know, I was tied up to Gavin in the closet. That was sexy. And, you know, when you watch the comments, you know, you're all excited because this is, you know, this really fun thing that you want to do. And then, you know, you would get lots of comments, and I would read, you know, if I was involved in something, I'd read as close to all of them as I could.
Right.
And, you know, it's really fun
Damn it.
to have that, you know, reaction that people have and say, oh, this is so funny. But obviously the downside is when you have something at that scale, you know, you get people that don't have nice things to say.
No, they don't. There are people who have not nice things to say.
You know, and, you know, I think for a teenager, I probably didn't do as well at that than you know, the more veteran ones of Rooster Teeth, because, you know, when you're on like YouTube and hundreds of thousands of people are looking at you, there would be comments about, you know, every facet of my appearance, you know, things that I wouldn't have been self-conscious about before that I suddenly would be, just by being in a short.
Which, I mean, you were in your teens. That is a
Yeah.
point in everybody's life where, like, self-image, body image is up in the air, you know, and it's very tough for everyone to navigate that.
Yeah.
And you're
really delicate.
navigating that in front of millions of people.
Yeah. You know, I mean, it's really kind of a fragile thing. And, you know, all the issues that teenagers, I think, especially go through, you're going through puberty, you know, I mean, I was never had a problem with my weight, and people would say, dude, that guy's so skinny, he needs to eat a burger, you know, things like that. And then
Right.
and I mean, it'd be, you know, just kind of an innocuous comment, and you'd go, oh, he's probably got a point, you know, and especially when, you know, multiple people starts, you know, making the same comment, you're like, oh, well, I didn't realize I had such an issue.
Yeah, and a lot of times a lot of the times that's the echo chamber of the internet, where when one person says something, it puts the idea in somebody else's head, and then they all just start saying it. But like you're saying, you just read it constantly. It doesn't matter that they don't even feel that way. It appears that they feel that way, and everyone is like echoing the same thought again and again, and that's something you've ever been exposed to.
And I mean, like, in the real world, you know, I wouldn't be around people that would, you know, be that blunt and, you know, harsh. You know?
Okay, so now is that true? Because that's an interesting comment to me that you just made. That because one of the places where you and I always kind of like ran into conflict with one another is that you were always, for lack of a better term, very direct in your opinion about stuff.
Right.
And, you know, I would sometimes take that as negativity. And you and I would butt heads occasionally on things like that. And I always associate that as the British no-nonsense mentality, where you were just like, I'm just telling you exactly how things are. Occasionally you would just take the piss, essentially.
Yes.
But that's how I associate it. But you're saying you never ran into that kind of thing ever before.
I mean, when, you know, when I would have opinions about things, you know, in relation to my job, I think that, you know, I'm a kind of a person with vision, and, you know, I think you need to have people who know what their opinion is, and then they get it across. And that's kind of, I think, especially for things that we were doing, you know, website stuff, you know, you would have come up with ideas, and I would say, no, Burnie, that's a terrible idea, we're not doing that. And I would just shut you down, even though you owned this company.
That would be literally the conversation of just like, you know, we would have conversations.
But that's what it takes sometimes, I think. I think it takes people that have the strength to say no to things, and they have this clear vision, and they don't let you get kind of muddled down. I'd say you need to know exactly what the right route is, and you know that sometimes means.
But here's the thing we always ran into: is like I also consider myself to be a person of great vision. You know, especially when it comes to building this company and things that we want to do and the ways that we want to present the company. And so when I would run into that, that's obviously a place that we would have friction.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that when you're doing something of this scale, that, you know, you want to make a big impact, that's the process. I think you coming up with something that's kind of innovative is, I mean, you can imagine like working with Steve Jobs, right? I mean, that would never be a fun experience for anyone. I wouldn't say.
I wouldn't think so. No.
But you would say that the end product is better for it. Is how I'd compare that.
Yeah, I guess. You know what I mean? It's like, those big personalities, just like anywhere, it's like, I wonder too how much is the man himself and how much is the team, and and that the man is getting a lot of the credit for everything that's going on.
Right.
I guess it's a problem anywhere you work, though.
Yeah.
In any kind of job where people are like interacting with one another creatively. But for a guy then who doesn't pull any punches, to read negative comments, was that like, I'm just trying to think what was that experience like?
Negative comments about my work, weren't too bad. I think in time, I've been told that some people, get this image of me that I'm kind of arrogant and I don't listen to any feedback or criticism. I'm kind of like, I'm right. This is the way we're going to do it. And that's not the case. I'm very aware of how people feel about, the features that we're doing and the stuff that we're doing. And
well, you're saying that people accuse you of being arrogant because
right, kind of like that I'm not, that I'm not receptive to other people's ideas and stuff, which isn't the case.
You're talking about users online are saying that.
Yeah, people that
okay. This is the kind of thing I'm talking about. Like this is the kind of feedback that you get. I mean, it's like it's one thing to say, like, oh hey, this game Fez, look at that lighthouse. I hate the art style. It's just not my thing. Whereas people would go through and say, whoever designed this is an asshole. Whoever designed this is forcing us to is a hipster, or anything negative. You know what I mean? It's just like they're forced to do this. It's not about the work at some point. It becomes about the person, and it becomes very personal. And I think that happens really quickly online. Like apparently I had a key.
Huh.
And those are the kind of things that happen. And a lot of times too, when you're in the online space, if both the people who create a lot of the tools online and the people who consume a lot of the content online, they tend to be in the younger demographic. So they tend to be peers of one another. Like, you're not going to get a lot of 40-year-olds online who tell you you don't know what you're doing. Although there might be some of that. A lot of times it's going to be people in your peer group that are doing that kind of thing.
Right.
And I think that's harder in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Like, I can be very, easily dismissed. Like, if I read something that's clearly from a goddamn, 13-year-old unsupervised in his house, and they can't spell anything, really doesn't bug me too much.
Yeah.
But when it comes through and it's like someone that's, essentially my level, at least from an age demographic point of view, I tend to weigh that a little more heavily than anything else. But for you, that's probably 90% of the comments that are coming back are in that age demographic.
Yeah. And I think the way that the trick that not the trick. The way that we kind of know if something's working or not is, you look at the usage numbers, and I kind of said this on the podcast as well, that if people really don't like something and something's not working, they stop using it. And if people stop using it, then you're in trouble.
Right.
The comments are, really useful to kind of see what the negative points are, but you can't look at it like as just based on it's skewed to negativity. Just because people don't want to really put in the effort to say that they enjoyed something. They just enjoy it, and then they keep going back to it. And so that's the way that you kind of assess that. I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I've made mistakes. But, the alternative is, that you don't try anything new, and you don't try to innovate and improve. And, we could just stay the same and have the same white website that Gus designed.
Right.
It would be a lot cheaper. But,
yeah, it would.
But, I think some of the, all the things that have happened today, like the people that have, now had children, that wouldn't have been the case if we'd stayed the same. So, I think sometimes you have to really go out on a limb and you trust your instinct on what's going to be the best, thing. Sometimes you're proven wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. And you resolve it. But it's better than I think doing nothing. Inaction is the worst.
I'm learning to swim here. See, my character's adapting, just like you're saying. Visual styles and design should adapt.
Huh.
It is one of those things that you have a choice. You can either change things and run the risk of alienating people, or you can just sit exactly where you are, where the world changes all around you,
Yeah.
and you
And you
just
can-
become stale.
And then when you do that, I mean, that is when you kind of get arrogant. You say, "No, we're fine. We're fine." Oh, our way's the best way. Everyone else is wrong.
Right.
And then eventually you just kind of fade away.
Now, okay, so that's probably some places where you and I too have disagreed over the years, where when we have talked about things, Rooster Teeth, we had a very specific way of doing business and a really specific way of communicating with the audience. And sometimes when you would change things, or propose a change to something, we would talk about essentially violating that prime directive, for lack of a better term. And did that seem like to you in those times, oh, these are guys who are just stuck in their way and think their way is the only way, that kind of thing? We would argue about Facebook, and we would argue about podcasting and stuff like that,
Yeah. I wouldn't have said that you were stuck in your ways. I just thought, because I was at least 10 years younger than the youngest person there.
All right. Go
ahead. I thought I'm uniquely positioned to give you a different perspective, a fresher perspective, that, if I weren't here, you would kind of be in that echo chamber. And, so that's why I was, I wanted to I didn't, hold back. I was sometimes brutally honest. But, that I thought that was what I was kind of bringing to the team, and that I could bring this adapting way. And, a lot of the things that I kind of proposed, the whole concept of having a red versus blue Facebook page was everyone hated that idea. And we're now at 1.2 million on that page. And it's almost as much as the community website itself has registered to it. So,
and it is a great tool for communicating to people, but there's also for years and years, and we still, I think we've gotten away from it. And I'm disappointed to see it, is that roosterteeth.com was where people would come and they would experience Rooster Teeth. That was our primary destination. And you could actually make the argument today that roosterteeth.com is not the primary destination, that it is places like Facebook and Twitter and YouTube specifically. And if you look at the trends of the last 4 or 5 years, everyone who is making online content, I'm totally lost here, by the way. I'm trying to figure out where the hell I'm supposed to go. People are in agony probably watching me do this. I'm just trying to get up to this lighthouse, but I'm about to give it up. But everyone in the last 4 or 5 years, other people making online content, they all went pretty much all in at YouTube. And now they're realizing that they can't do that. That's not a sustainable business model. Yeah. And so now they're all trying to make their own destination sites, which we've had all along. These huge destination site, roosterteeth.com, where we have now 1.5 million registered users. Yeah. And it's important to have that. It's important because things like Facebook, we're still, happy that they're around, but they do go away. Yeah. When you were talking to me about Facebook was when... Ooh, this is not going to be fun. When you were talking to me about Facebook, that's when stuff like MySpace was just falling out of vogue.
Oh, yeah. And there were people that said that our website was too much like MySpace. People say today that our website is too much like Facebook. There was times when people said it's too much like MySpace. Right. And actually, in response to that, I created a skin where I changed out the Rooster Teeth logo with the MySpace logo.
Right.
So you could go to myspace.roosterteeth.com.
And that's over the years you have done that, with negative comments. There's a lot of times where you wanted to make a reaction to it, and I was just let it go. Don't.
I mean, yeah.
And the Facebook skin was one of them. You could actually skin our site to look just like Facebook, literally.
Kind of tongue in cheek, yeah. But I mean that's what we were saying about me. I came into this young, and I was learning, and I'd never had a job. I didn't know what professionalism was.
Oh, dying, help me.
I've definitely, I would say today I'm really competent. But back then I was flying by the seat of my pants. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just kind of falling and trying to make it all work. But, the thing with Rooster Teeth is when you're doing something like this, and, when you're so many people, you're affecting millions of people, literally, you get really, really great stuff, and you get really, really bad. You get the polar opposites.
Right.
And then there are some times when, fans have, been so negative that it's a bit scary, and that you start to feel a bit unsafe, and you would say those are edge cases. But when you're at our scale, I think you expose every edge case. You just get the experience of every kind of reaction, every strength of reaction, and it's difficult to take those as a person without kind of cracking. But I mean,
So let's talk about that. Like, can you relate to a guy like Phil Fish, the developer of Fez here, for what he did, where he just called it quits?
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. I mean, my opinion has changed. It's flip-flopped quite a lot over the years about kind of how much I want. I mean, this new stuff that I'm working on today for Rooster Teeth, that it's a few months away. I probably won't get credited for that. I'll probably kind of nameless in that.
We're talking about that. What do you mean by that? Why would you be creditless?
It would be one of those, the development team. There's other people that I work with as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't be, singled out for praise, and I don't need that. I'm okay with that, and I'm all right with.
Well, when I hear you say it, it doesn't sound like you're okay with that. I mean,
yeah.
I get.
Why'd you say I wouldn't be okay with that?
Because we're talking about it. I mean, just by virtue of the fact that we're talking about this.
Yeah, I'm pointing at, like, in the past, like we didn't have any PR people, we didn't have community managers, so I would have to, be this communicator to the public about all the different things we were doing and our kind of reasonings
on a technical level, like for the website.
Yeah, like explaining new features
right.
And what we wanted to do. But now, I kind of always felt that my greatest skill was in development. It's not really in PR, in talking to people.
Okay.
So, and that was my least favorite part of my job. And I was like, I just want to focus on doing what I do best. And I think now I can do that.
I think everyone at Rooster Teeth in general has benefited from an increase in focus. Just because there's more people working here, there's more ability for people to do very specialized jobs.
I don't have to wear all those hats anymore. I can just do the thing that I'm most passionate about. And I think that's everyone gets more efficient when you do that.
I wish I'd have found this guy talking to me earlier.
Spin the pivot. See, this is getting complex. Oh
my god, this game is too hard. I wish this fucking developer would quit. No, I'm just kidding. Alright, let me see here. Yeah, it is tough. It's like, and quitting's a tough deal, because quitting is you take yourself out of the conversation. You know what I mean? It's like, there's nothing, what can you do, And, it was a big decision for me to step down as CEO.
Yeah.
And there's all sorts of different levels of negativity. And for me, one of the big things that I was running into is that being the boss for essentially my friends for so long is just like, there's a certain aspect of management. Here, I'm going to hand this off to you and I'm going to talk a little bit here. There's a certain aspect of management which I don't think a lot of people are going to have any kind of perspective on, but maybe I can help a little bit. That is, in management, you can do a lot of things like giving people opportunity, and that's a huge gray area. When you talk about credit can be kind of a gray area, especially when you're working in a group. Like, there's this new feature on the site. You start throwing out ideas, and a lot of the ideas that you have feed off of other people's ideas. Their ideas feed off your ideas, and there's this give and take, and then at the end of it, like, you specifically remember, I know I came up with this idea. I know I did. But a lot of other people in the group won't see it, and there's nobody documenting it. And so your work can feel like it goes uncredited.
How did you do this?
Hold X and turn it. And from a management perspective, something that can happen sometimes is that opportunity is equally as gray an area as credit, which is like, we're going to give this person the opportunity to do something that they've never done. Sometimes it's really big stuff, like Monty gets his own show and we fund the whole show. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's an obviously easy to identify huge opportunity. But there's, you look at that. But there's lots of little opportunities all the time that you give to people. But just the way people are wired and the way it works is that people are going to remember themselves the successes that they had and them overcoming, the obstacles of management, and not really attribute much to management in the way they've been enabled to do that kind of stuff. And so doing that for 9 years, that started to feel very thankless for me, because it's like, ultimately everything became like a negative interaction, and it's after so many of those with my individual friends, I was like, I really don't want to do this anymore. It wasn't by far the only reason that I wanted to do it. I wanted to focus myself on doing more creative stuff, but it was definitely a part of it. And so when you get in those like gray areas of appreciation, like a game here like Fez, it's going to sell a ton. It got huge reviews. It was like a 9.5 at IGN. It had a Metacritic score of 89, which is enormous. It had a 90 Metacritic score for the PC version, which just came out. And he, the developer of this game must have seen those things, that his game is being rated so high. But all of that can get washed away by people coming at you online constantly saying, you're fucking up, you're an idiot, I don't like the way that you talk, which has nothing to do with what he does as a video game developer, if they don't individually like the guy, even though it's a person they don't know, they're just consuming his online identity just like everyone else is. So, it's one of those things, it's we all deal with this stuff. We all, have to deal with negative feedback. We all have to deal with other people's negativities, other people's expectations not being fulfilled by you. Do you have that feeling as well? Like sometimes, people have expectations of you, and you're living up to those. You talked about imposter syndrome one time.
Yeah.
What is that?
So, I don't even know if I'm retreading my steps here. I'm really going to ruin this.
It's okay. We're kind of wrapping up here anyway. It's nighttime, so it's all good.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, one of the something that I had for a little while, especially when we would go to events and people would ask me to sign things and take photos with them. I would get kind of anxious and nervous and start to get a bit affected by it. And when I realized what it was is that I didn't feel like people couldn't know who I was. They were just kind of asking to be nice. And I felt like, I'm ruining this person's photo with this real famous person. And then there's me in the side, and they probably don't know who I am.
Okay. Did you ever feel that way online? Like when people would come and talk to you online and say, Ben, I love Rooster Teeth. You're so, great. Everything about it is fantastic. Because, we talk about negativity, but there's a lot of positive feedback, too. Yeah. I don't want you to think we're being a bunch of bitches, We're just talking about one aspect of interacting with a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of. It was one of those things where I was like, when people, know me from Rooster Teeth, in the few videos that I've been in, you're talking about American history and things like that, people could get the impression of that's who I am, and that's kind of my personality. But I wouldn't say that Rooster Teeth is the defining part of my identity. I wouldn't say that I'm a guy that works at Rooster Teeth. I would say I'm a student. I'm a university student, and that's who I am. And so
and this is a job that you have.
Yeah, it's one of my many jobs I have. I work for a few people, so it's just what I do at Rooster Teeth is a bit of fun, but then people kind of create this character called Ben, who is this person entirely, and the things that I've appeared on screen on, sometimes in shorts it's clearly scripted, and I'm playing a fictional version of myself, but then even in other times, if I'm on the podcast, you just mention things, and that kind of your identity gets boiled down to that. And I wasn't really a fan of that. I thought that no one really kind of the things that I'm interested in, I don't get a chance to kind of talk about at Rooster Teeth. It's not often that you and I are not going to sit down and talk about the new One Direction single, for instance.
Let's talk about the new One Direction single.
I really like the bit where they go, na na na
I'm a British dude. Hey, that was I saw recently where Rolling Stone put One Direction on the cover of their magazine, and who's the lead guy? It's a boy band, but Harry's the big one, right?
Right.
And so he got labeled as a womanizer.
Yeah.
And the Rolling Stone editors were like, "What is happening?" Because these young fans, typically I would think young girls, were saying I hope you get stabbed in the throat,
right,
and things like that for calling Harry a womanizer. That's behind him now.
Yeah, you think about the kind of the public interaction that we have. It's on a tiny scale compared to pop stars.
Tiny.
Can you imagine minuscule?
Tiny.
Can you imagine someone's job it is to write shit about you in a magazine, and then people perpetuate that as their reality of that person?
Yeah, that people are financially incented to make shit up about you.
And people kind of get this Taylor Swift, she's a man-eater, which I don't think in real life she's probably not. She's probably a lovely lady, but that's the character that she becomes from the media, and that's why I study that at university. I study digital identities and communication in a globalized world and that kind of stuff. It's not quite as bullshit as Gus thinks it is. But
also you hear about people who have assistants that run their Twitter accounts and things like that. after a while, some of that kind of makes sense. It's like it seems like a really dumb thing, but
Yeah, I mean, you don't know any. I wouldn't say you know any celebrity, to be honest.
What do you mean?
I mean, celebrities have this kind of on-camera, like even when we go on camera, we're on. We kind of become this super energetic. We're on the podcast and it's like really high energy, but it's not a real world conversation entirely.
Listen, I defend this a little bit. I think that we're if you encounter us in person, we're pretty much like the people that you're gonna see.
Yeah.
I mean, we might not be like, you catch us at like Starbucks or at, hour 12 at a convention. We're not going to be like jumping around and tackling each other and stuff like that. I mean, but that's what editing is. We take the funnier bits and put that stuff online.
Exactly. I mean, editing's amazing. But editing is like you create this new reality. People watch a video, like they watch the video of our interview and you don't laugh. But in reality, you were laughing. But with editing, it's all gone. And it's like it never happened.
With you and Kara, I was laughing my ass off at those things. And we just edited it out. And that's the thing. It's like people write in the comments, they'll say, well, how did Burnie keep a straight face?
He's so good at keeping a straight face. Yeah.
And it's like, I take pride that they said that, even though it's not really the case, because that's the way we presented it through editing. It's even funnier when you watch two people edit one set of footage. And God, anybody who plays Fez is going to be so furious at us the way we're navigating this level. I literally can't figure this out, though. I'm just trying to get anywhere, and I'm getting nowhere. Sorry.
Yeah, I would be tearing my hair out.
Yeah. If we weren't so distracted with our conversation. So, another thing, too, is that we've talked about is that negative comments, in a sea of positive comments, negative comments can stand out because they tend to be more detailed, and that implies that they're more thought out, which then further implies that they're more valid, a negative comment, that they're more intelligent or something else like that. So that's something you and I have talked about. Do you think that's the case?
I mean, it depends where you go. If you look at YouTube comments and the negative, it's normally like, you suck, and it's suck with a S-U-K.
Very easy to dismiss.
Yeah, but I mean, when people give you a really negative, critical, thoughtful thing, you have to listen to it because you have self-doubt, I think, with any creative thing you put out. I mean, if, you were doing Red vs. Blue for 10 years, you would work on episodes, and then I'm sure there were times when you were like, I'm not sure if this is funny. Like, if this is about to go out, and people might hate it. I have no idea.
Ben, you and I don't know if you remember this, you and I can talk about a very specific thing where I showed you an episode of Red vs. Blue, or a script, before it came out. And it was one of the key moments in Red vs. Blue, which was the switch for church, and you were like, nope. And
I wasn't. No, I just didn't understand it at all. I was so perplexed.
I can give you your exact quote that you used.
Okay.
Which was, you said, yeah, but it's a bit shit, don't you think? That's exactly what you said, and I was just like, what is it? Is this thing completely fucked up? It was in Reconstruction episode, season 6, the big reveal on church, and that was obviously a big change. And when you pull a twist like that, whoa, what just happened there?
Really?
When you pull a twist, it was something I was concerned about. I was like you said, I had self-doubt and all that. And sometimes you just have to, like you were saying, sometimes you just have to go, hey, I'm going to stick with this. I got a vision for this, and I'm going to make it work.
Yeah, and that's anything creative, even if you're making a series or you're making websites. I mean, I would say what I do is creative because I have to come up with the ideas and conceptualize them and then make them in reality and make them a real thing, that tangible product that people can use. And there are times when I don't know if it's a good idea, and I go, am I actually being like, is it any worth doing this? Should I just throw this out? And
let's be honest, sometimes as a creator we have bad ideas. We just have that we're not right.
And and that's what kind of editing is for, is that people think you're like a, you just get them right, you knock them out of the park every time, but there are duds,
There are duds. And
that's the process.
And it takes a while to accept the fact that you're gonna make a dud. It really does. It takes some time. Like, sometimes people have to watch you play Fez the same level 15 times. And
I think, it can be really challenging when you've kind of got this schedule to get a success. When you know, Red vs. Blue comes out on X day, and you can say for the whole season, every single day on the calendar that an episode's going to come out.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And, like, these have all got to be good. We know they're coming out at this point, I mean, especially for, like, I think for films, really, where you can spend like a year on a film, And it's too late. It's too late to change things if you start filming. It's like, ooh, they did that with World War Z, where they're just like, ooh, we need to change the whole last bit of this movie.
The guys who made South Park, who then made the Team America movie, they talked about that. They said they're used to making stuff that lasts for a week and then it's out and an audience sees it. And then when they made a movie, it was 2 weeks. And then they were like, is this even funny anymore? They had lost all perspective.
Especially when you work on it yourself so much, it stops being funny to you because you've heard the jokes so many times.
Yeah.
It's difficult to look at it objectively and just forget about it and look for a fresh perspective.
Absolutely. Absolutely it does. But what about the average person? Like, how does the average person deal with, like, this negativity when, like, let's just say even, like, a content creator, somebody who's starting on a YouTube channel, and they put out their very first video, and they get like you're terrible, you should stop doing this, you should go kill yourself, sorry.
Yeah, I think
and a lot of people get triggered off some stuff like this because they've been exposed to negativity like this.
I mean, if you look on Reddit, there's a subreddit called Cringe, and they put up videos that are just cringy, that are like painful to watch, and you look at the comments of that, and it is. It's people saying, this is awful, you should never make another content thing again. And, they'll be harsher, but that's kind of the basis, that's the core of what they'll all say. And they'll come in droves and they'll say that. And it'll be overwhelming negativity all at once. And, yeah, I can't imagine those people would make videos again. Sometimes people then pick that up and they become contrarian for the sake of it.
Right? Trolls.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think for the average person, I mean, what I always say with Rooster Teeth, people that just start at Rooster Teeth, that there is no guide. If you're going to go to a convention and you step out, and I was talking to Dan Grushi, particularly, like, he stepped out to his Slow-Mo Guys panel at RTX, and he's just, a bloke from England, he's never been out like this, stood out to thousands of people screaming for him. And I was like, I can't even begin to fathom how that feels for you, because it's no one can tell you how to react or how to feel about it. It's so foreign, and everyone just kind of has to deal with it in their own way.
You know what I find scary about that? I've watched that process with a few people now, with voice actors and everything else. It's amazing how fast that interaction, like you talk about that imposter syndrome of like, I shouldn't be here, this isn't for me. And then the adjustment to, this is just the way my life is,
Right.
And like, this is the way things should be, And it's a quick turn. It
depends on what you ground yourself in. I think for me, because I've always said, my kind of school life is the core. That's the fixed thing. That's what I always come back to. That's kind of what it's kind of like, that's what I come home to at night, is my student life, and that's always going to be there. So, my feet's firmly kind of on the ground on that. I've got no illusion that I'm some international celebrity rock star developer.
Right,
that doesn't happen. I go back and my friends know nothing about Rooster Teeth, nothing at all.
It's I've always said it's really interesting. It's like it's like one room, where we get that feeling, and then like there's all the other rooms in our life are not like that.
Yeah.
It's very, very different indeed.
Yeah.
What did I just do?
Ooh.
Man, this game is like unbelievable.
And then they just throw in like a bunny to put some light relief. Even though you're like, I hate this, how do I figure this out? And a bunny.
Oh, get the rage going.
Yeah.
Well, Ben, how do we wrap this discussion up? I mean, obviously we've talked a lot about some of the negative aspects of what we do in interaction with the general public, but there's a lot of positives that far outweigh everything else.
For sure. I mean, here's the thing, like with Rooster Teeth, something at this massive of a scale, you get the really bad, but you get the really amazing. Mm-hmm. And if you want to make something in life that makes an impact, that's what, you get it. That's what you have to go through.
Like this guy here who made this game Fez. I mean, it's like there are, I don't know how many copies it sold. I'm going to guess it probably sold in the hundreds of thousands, if not 1 million copies.
Yeah.
And that is a huge impact. Like, people would strive their whole life to have a product or a piece of content that people consume on that level.
Yeah.
And they would go out of their minds if they had it. And, it's just sometimes that, all that success and all that praise, sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes it can be overshadowed by some negativity. And then you get a guy who's no longer doing the thing that hundreds of thousands and millions of people enjoy.
Yeah.
Even though they can't fucking figure out how to get through 2 levels.
Well, we tried.
We did. We tried. Ben, I think you're shit at this video game, and I think you should never play video games again.
I'm so glad you're not my boss anymore.
There we go.